Superb. So it's another day, another episode, and we have three more fascinating people with fascinating stories with us. This is episode 2 of the Changepreneurs Podcast. We are solopreneurs, we are change agents, we are passionate about life, all things coaching. So that's the segue into introducing three amazing people here, and I will be pulling their legs. I will be putting them on the spot. I will be asking them very interesting questions, and they will obviously be sharing interesting aspects about who they are. And our initial episodes are about bringing all of who we are into the equation. And I've been given the responsibility of making sure that happens. So, welcome Rajesh, Roshni, and Preeti. So, welcome to this episode. And uh, this setting context, the first time we did this, one of the questions that we asked was uh, where are you coming from, what got you here. So maybe I will also just check in with you saying what got you here, and from there we'll take it. Yeah, so all three coaches are great in practicing silence, but I will put somebody on the spot and say Rajesh, why don't you go first?
Oh, okay. I thought you'll do ladies first. Knowing you, Sunil, you'll always do the flip.
It is expect the unexpected.
Expect the unexpected. Yeah, this whole bit about uh, podcasting. There's so much in the news, and one is always fascinated about what is it about. And I would always say that I'm more of a write and read person. I'm not a speak person. But then I would always be intrigued, and I would listen to podcasts, and the way people throw their voice, and always something that was there at the back of the mind. And this year I had, you always have this thing of what's your slogan for the year or what's your theme for the year. So in the beginning of the year, I told myself my theme is be more, and be more in as different ways as one can define it. And part of this was about saying, why don't I try a medium that which is out of my comfort zone? I haven't done this. Let's give it a shot. And this thing came out of the blue. I think Satish came up and he had this great idea of bringing together many coaches together and creating almost like a consortium of coaches with the aim of being change agents. We already know that, like you said, coaches are change agents, but this seemed like a very exciting thing to do, and you had other coaches to follow on. You are not alone, so I thought this was a great idea to just take the first step. So here is where I am.
Wow. It was fascinating to have you tell yourself that this year I'll be more. As long as it is not weight, I would have also just subscribed to the same thing.
You don't need to be more. You already you need to do be less.
Oh, yeah, absolutely true. So, yeah, I think that's a fascinating way to kick off the conversation, say, in terms of being more. So, Roshni, over to you. Just we can start off with being more. We can start off with, what got you here.
Yeah, so I'll start with what got me here. So I'm a strongly intuitive person, and accidentally I came across Satish's request to, approach him if we are interested in joining hands with him for this podcast. And um, I remember he had a list of few things he was looking for, and I felt, oh, it just clicks so well that I just want to. I don't know what's gonna come out of it, but I just want to go and talk to this person. So I think it started off like that, um, and it is a very interesting concept. I feel that it evolved into 12 of us coming together for this podcast. So I think my intuition is something I always want to listen to.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then all of our conversations has been very evident that you are a very intuitive, very spontaneous, on the spot kind of a person, a persona. And I know you love your bike rides. We'll come to that a little later. Right. So, Preeti, over to you in terms of what got you here.
Yeah, hi Sunil and everyone. So, what got me here? So, when I heard only about the podcast, when Satish posted about it, heard about the podcast. So I'm a very like I like to hear stories. I like to listen, and I wanted that inspire actually curiosity on me. That okay, this is the way to hear uncover stories and listen more. And that's how I said yes. And then we had a talk, and then we met all 12 of us, and then we had this name. We have now this name, Changepreneur, and that's a combination of two actually words, change and entrepreneur, and both of the things very near to me. Change is something constant in my life. The change is like part and parcel of my life, actually. So that's really
So
I like really, I found it very interesting. Oh, something near to my heart also, and something near to what have been happening to me. So it's like universe conspires and give the signals. And then entrepreneur, yeah, let's take the challenge. Let's go for the innovative ideas. Let's go for something new. Le- Actively creating solutions, finding the solutions. So here I am for all of those.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And, and knowing your story, I think change is the only constant. How many countries have you sort of changed from or jumped from? So I'll come to that in terms of this. So my job as a podcaster is to also look at questions that I have not thought to myself. So there are two questions, or two possible areas in which we take it forward. We are recording this on number 15th, which is one day after Children's Day. I kept asking people saying, who's your favorite cartoon character and why? I know all of you would have very different answers. Anybody can choose to answer first and take it from there. So the question is, who's your favorite cartoon character and why? My job's to put you on the spot. No worries.
Very difficult one, actually. I'm
Uh,
not going to do it
Okay.
first.
For
Anyone
me,
else, please?
yeah, favorite cartoon character. As a child, I remember. I don't know whether you remember this song in Hindi. It used to be written by Gulzar Saab, and it was about that chaddi pehen ke phool khilaya, that little Mowgli character, and then you see Lion King, and you see this little cute boy in his chaddis. I thought it was like, and that song put together with that brought up this whole spirit of innocence and innocence in the context of a
Absolutely.
very very difficult environment and the way he navigates it. So I thought that was really that I used to enjoy. I enjoyed the movie and I used to enjoy seeing the cartoon.
Wow. Very, very, very interesting. So, Mowgli, Rudyard Kipling, so many other aspects that you bring with that. Oh, yeah. And that catchy tune is it's an evergreen song. Roshni and Preeti. So, what about you?
so I think it's not one character. I used to love Tom and Jerry so much. Um, I think
Which
just the
one did you
com.
identify with more,
Which
Tom
one
or
did you
Jerry?
identify with more? So that's the question.
I think I just keep switching between the two with different people, probably. But I love that equation they have, and there is no story for them without each other, but they are always at
Oh,
each other's throat. It just makes such a sometimes after we grew up, we even I used to talk about this with our friends, that it was actually such a violent, sometimes so violent, way Tom would get smashed with a pan or some real big fall on his head. But it was so interesting, and I think I've laughed a lot watching it. Um, really
wait.
enjoyed, and also the little mouse, the gray mouse that used to appear sometimes in it. That I think was more of my favorite character. If I had to pick one, always hungry and asking for more food.
Like Rajesh who said be more, and you're asking, eat more. So with this. No, I also love that character. So especially after you said eat, I said, oh yeah, I now know exactly that character that I wanted to be.
You know what? I wanted to say this. I wish there was one TV serial character would have made a great comic character also, Mr. Bean. I don't know if
Oh,
anybody thought of making a cartoon on him.
Oh, there
He's
is,
so
there is,
delightful. There is.
there is.
there is,
Yeah,
there
yeah,
is.
yeah.
I think yeah, it used to come
Quite
on
good.
Nickelodeon
Yeah,
or Pogo or something,
yeah,
from
Oh,
some
yeah.
okay.
space.
I must go and
But
catch
I
it.
still feel the in person thing of his, is still the
Yeah.
best. So Preeti, apart from Mr. Bean, Tom and Jerry, and
No, no,
Mowgli,
no.
so who's
There is no apart from that because Tom and Jerry is my favorite also. So I will stick to that. It's my childhood memory. I still can watch it, Tom and Jerry, anytime. So I'll stick with that only.
uh,
So, yes, as Rosni was saying, the running behind, chasing each other, and smashing and all, being violent, still playful. And so it actually reminds of any relationship, we have in our
mm,
life. We chase each other, we have fun with each other, we smash each other. So especially husband and wife
and we
relationship
take care
sometimes.
of each other.
Not literally, I hope. Not literally, I hope.
Yes. So yes, that's
Oh
always
wow.
will be. I
Mm.
think. I think 50%. If you ask anyone, 50% of the population will say Tom and Jerry. I'm biased here.
Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry any day. Tom and Jerry any
Yes.
day. I think I love. I think I used to sort of like Tom and Jerry purely because the other ones were like not so interesting. But I also love this Tintin comics,
Hmm.
and Tintin as a cartoon character was one of my favorites, and especially those two professors, Thompson and Thompson, and all those funny moments that you kept seeing, sharing. Also, possibly, yeah, I think it also segues into things we read as a kid. So, what's one thing that stayed with you as adults that you've read in your childhood from, say, books, comics, heard from aunts, uncles, grannies?
You want us to talk about stories we've heard that
Yes,
stayed with us?
stories or anything that stuck with you from that younger days.
So it's not a cartoon characters or something, but one of the
Mm-hmm.
story always stuck, and it's actually a mythological story, and one of the line which always stuck: "Do your work and don't think about the results and all. You always So we have been hearing this from our parents also. So it's like from the very childhood. It's a memory. It's a line which is inbuilt in our value system actually.
Oh, absolutely true. Absolutely true. Do your work, and your karma or whatever that we like to call it will take care of itself. And life is a very strange way of connecting the dots. Absolutely. So Rajesh and Roshni. So any thoughts? Penny for your thoughts.
I think for me it was the story of Raja Harishchandra. I think I
Mm-hmm.
heard it when I was very, very young, and it was a person or a character that I always thought about, and I think I still think about it as an adult now. But even as a child, I remember um, how difficult it would have been to be honest in or following truth, even in situations where it was so difficult, you
Mm,
know. And that is something that I think I carry that thought even now as an adult. So that story is something that fascinated and stayed with me very strongly.
absolutely. I am slowly asking you questions that are bringing your value systems at play. So.
Yeah, some of these things that you consciously, unconsciously do in the beginning, and somehow you realize when you look back, they have molded and shaped your personality. For me, my dad was very instrumental in getting me to read. He would buy a lot of things, and I would be very interested. There'll be always something like comics and Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew and Enid Blyton and all those things. But the things that used to really fascinate me were those Amar Chitra Kathas. Those
Oh yes.
I would really look forward to getting them, uh, and our epics are really, there's so much to learn from our epics, even Ramayana, Mahabharata. But those individual stories of different characters. One of my favorite Amar Chitra Katha I still remember was Bhakt Prahlad, and Prahlad's story, or about the fact that Kashyap and how Krishna kills Prahlad kills the main character. There's so many of them. They're so vivid. Or Dashavtar, Vishnu
Um,
Dashavtar. So a lot of that I think was ingrained, and it just becomes part of your cultural fabric, and no wonder we like all these big movies that get made, because we all grown up on this whole larger than life kind of
Larger than life story.
Yeah.
Amar
No,
Chitra Katha.
absolutely.
What's been your favorite Amar Chitra Katha? Like Sunil, any
Sorry?
you have any favorite Amar Chitra Katha comic? If you
Amar Chitrakathas were actually, I think, characters of Shikari Shambhu. I think Shambhu's characters, it's been hands down the best. Shambhu, Supandi, Tantri the Mantri, I think all those fascinating. There's this Uncle Anu. Yeah, I think all of those stories, I think.
You are a Tinkle fan.
Tinkle fan, yeah, Tinkle fan.
Tinkle, yeah. That's a generational thing. Tinkle came later,
Yeah.
right? Roshni.
Tinkle came later. I haven't.
Not getting worried because there's a generational thing coming. Tinkle.
So yeah, I think all of my favorites are Tinkle based books, not typically Amar Chitrakatha. Amar Chitrakatha stories, yeah, I think for me one of those was all on the Ramayana series, mostly on the Hanuman series. So
Hanuman series, yeah.
yes. So Hanuman's making a comeback into my life after quite a long time. So that way, I think a lot of my conversations have been around his name for quite some time in the last 2-3 weeks. So that's been the story.
Hanuman also loves to eat.
Oh yes, Hanuman loves to eat. Yeah, I wish I had all the abilities to actually shrink in size and expand in size at the same time.
So why you need this ability, shrink in size
it,
and
it,
expand in size?
yeah, I love to eat. So after I've had a good meal, I can shrink, and after it can come back to elasticity of food. Is very very, or body is very important with me being a foodie and all that. And yeah, I think if I had to really look at a character that's fascinated me across stories, has to be Chadari Nagin. I think that is. I've quite a lot of stand-up, jokes around it, saying how could it happen, but it's like, oh, that is also possible, like shape-shifting, all that. So I think the entire epic is metaphorically filled with so many stuff. So it's been fascinating. I think part of me becoming a writer is actually from all these stories. So I think I've reached that stage in the podcast where I'm like, now the stage is open. Anybody has any questions for anybody, you can take it up. Uh, yeah, so you've shared very interesting stuff in terms of this. But I have three like an observation to make. I have a tree in my, or I have a background that signifies brown. Rajesh has a background with a tree in it.
Tree of life.
Pictured, yeah, tree of life. And then Roshni has pictures, and I think, if I remember right, things that she's painted. And Preeti has a white background, that's for sure. So, if you were to now hear it, what's on your thought process?
Could you ask that question again? I'm sorry. I
No, the
didn't-
question is, so after like re-looking at your background, what are you thinking? Or me sharing about the background I see on the
Okay.
podcast.
I can talk about it. I think this is very much my space. It kind of reflects my personality a lot. Uh, it's my workspace. It's the time I spend relaxing and everything. So for me, this is everything that's very close to my heart. That is in my background here. Probably most of it you can see. Um there is a quote that is uh, very important for me. And then there is a picture of the NGO that I work with, Deep Stump. I have that and all my books that I've collected over the years. Some of them.
Some of them.
So yes, and I have my family pictures, my children. So it's a very reflective space for me.
So, Rajesh, I'll come back to Roshni. There's far more follow-up questions on it, but I'll come back to you.
Yeah, like today we were talking about having the natural backgrounds, and I used to have this tree of life for a longish time, and then you had these virtual backgrounds that you use quite regularly. So I had that the most one of the common ones, which is that beachside one where trees are shaking. There's this water in the background, and there was somebody senior I was coaching, and this person just loved the virtual background. He kept saying, "बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, एकदम सुकून लग रहा है, ऐसा लग रहा है आप बीच पे बैठे हैं." So I said, "Yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's so." And every time, every coaching session, and it was there on my screen for a long time. So every time I would coach him, we would spend 5 minutes only talking about the background. So one day I said, anyways, I had got bored of that virtual background. I changed it next time, and he came in for the session. He said, "वो कहाँ गया वो background जो आपका था?" I think part of the and rapport and comfort was, I think, due to not the coach but the background. So I realized the learning from that was, it's very important to keep the backgrounds for the client to feel comfortable in the coaching
Oh
session.
yeah, oh yeah. So now that you bring it up, there are a few coaches who have standard backgrounds, who are like always at the beach. I don't know if you met Prashant Parlikar. Prashant Parlikar is always at the beach. So that sort of a set rhythm happens, and whenever he changes something, we're like, oh, that's strange. That's I don't know who this person is. Preeti, so
Yes.
what's your take on your?
So very interesting question, Sunil, and it got me into reflecting while Rosni and Rajesh was talking about it. So I always have this virtual background of behind. I have a very good study the the table, not the table, but the cupboard actually, where lots of beautiful the decorative items, books, everything is always there. So that's the constant one. And today, when we were talking about the having the neutral one and no background at all, uh, this background, white background, is reminded me that this is like I still have to fill the memories over there. It's a blank space for me, blank canvas for me. And Sunil and others you don't know, but I recently relocated to a new place. So this is a chance for me to fill that blank canvas with new memories, new opportunities, new challenges and everything. So that's a good reminder actually. So let's see in future how this canvas will look like.
Yes, absolutely. So I never realized the pattern is that I put you under reflection in the first three questions of this thing. So I'll change it a little bit. So maybe the next question to ask all of you is two funny incidents that you remember from your lifetime. Again, I don't know. I put you back on reflection. So I'll start with mine. So I'd actually put an entire drum full of water, like adult size drum full of water, and poured an entire detergent packet into it just for the sake of it. I was, I think, in my kindergarten, and my mom was sleeping. I had access to the detergent, and then I wanted to see the bubbles in it, and one spoon after another, basically uh, ended up the entire this thing is full of water, and we had to distribute that soapy water to the entire surroundings of 10-15 houses just for it to get clear. So that's an unforgettable moment from childhood. So now that I set the context, you'll have to make it better now.
So maybe I can go with one of the incidents I can remember. In Mauritius itself, there was a phase when we had a good group of friends, very, very close, like, very closely knit, like family we were. And one of them was really scared of ghosts. And me and another friend, we thought, okay, let's prank this fellow. So it was his birthday. And so we arranged the key of the house from his wife, who was also a friend of ours. So we got the keys, and At 12 in the night, we actually, around six of us, we barged into the house. And they had a huge house, and in one of the bedrooms we went and put there was a show called Z Horror Show back in the 90s, I suppose, and it had like a theme music. So we put a Bluetooth and we put that under one of the beds, and we let that music play. And then on my husband's face we put some the beauty mask that you usually get, that kind of clays out, so it kind of looks like toned skin after a point. And we put all that on my husband's face, and we hid him in one place with a candle in his hand. And then we made some sound so that he would come out. And we got his wife also into this whole story. And then, poor thing, at 12 in the night on his birthday, we uh, scared him so much when he came out. We started checking what's the sound. And then there's this Z Horror Show music coming from one of his rooms. And then there was this really ghastly looking fellow with a candle coming into his. He was like really annoyed with us, but we had a lot of fun doing that. And that's something we still, after many years, we still laugh about it. It was a very funny incident.
Then I have to stay away
Hello.
from giving you the key.
Yes.
Oh, this is fantastic.
She spoke about birthday. I just remembered my son's 26th birthday. So and he's gone now to do his management course. So he said, no, I'm now going to be now out for 2 years, and this is my birthday. Let's do it special and all. And he was turning 26, like I said. So he said, and we are very Bollywood. We are a Bollywood family, full on Bollywood. So he came up with this whole thing of Special Chabbis. There's a movie called Special Chabbis.
Special 26.
Yeah.
Ajay Devgan movie. So it's because it goes to 26, so Special Chabbis. And he said everybody has to come dressed like a Bollywood character. Now, it was so much going on in life, and who has the time to think and all that. And we had to get the birthday organized in our house. So we invited all our family. And all our families in two cutlets, and they're saying, oh, we'll do up this and we'll do, and both husband and wife. But my wife, being wife, she had to do well. So she got ready and she said, I'm going to do this whole Parveen Babi from Shan number. And she got that gown and some shimmering thing and all that was happening. My dad-in-law said that I'm going to do Amitabh Bachchan from Diwar. My dad-in-law was 83, by the way, So, and here I am, have no idea what to do, and I'm sitting there. The party's at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I have no idea what. I said, forget it, yeah, I've not had time. And my wife was saying that what a spoiled sport, and my son has told you to do a party and everybody's going to come dressed, and people had come really, the other guests and all had come fully prepared, somebody like Aishwarya Rai and somebody like this. So I'm like, what do I do now? I'm feeling like very bad. So I said, see, Abhi, time, I have no time, right? This is when, that they say, when you are in a deep trouble, it's you have to think creative, because now you really can't do much, right? You have just 1 hour and the people are coming in and all that. So I looked at and I said that, look, I need to, I looked at myself in the mirror. I said, I've got gray hair. Now, what can I do with this gray hair and this character? And suddenly in my head, this whole idea popped up, but why don't I do Sanjeev Kumar from Sholay, right? So I don't have to do anything. I just told my wife, get me some kind of, what's it called, the shawl, gray shawl. And then she pinned it up, so my hands were not seen. And I wore one pajama kurta and I had that mojri. And I had gray hair to go with it. And you were also supposed to do something along with it, right? So you had not only dress up as the character, because somebody who was coordinating the show told us that suppose you're doing a dance, we'll actually play the character on the TV doing the dance, and you would dance like that, like the character. So in my case, I said, Nanjeev Kumar never danced in Sholay. He didn't have any hands. So they said, no, you have to do that dialogue about crushing Gabbar Singh with that. So I had to do all that, crushing with my feet, Gabbar Singh. It turned out to be so hilarious. And then people said, wow, what a great idea of dressing up. I had to tell them it was half an hour before, out of sheer desperation, with no ideas to come in. I just needed one shawl and a pair of slippers.
Wow.
Saved by the shawl. The shawl saved the day. But now very interesting now, like you said, family is entirely into cutlets. I was like, oh, that's a very interesting way to do it. So somebody else's birthday, they can actually take over this idea.
Yeah. And don't give them enough time. Like, you've put us on the spot. I think put people on the spot just one day before. And then the creative ideas start coming in thick and fast.
Definitely, definitely.
And I think we've all been through that, right? If you are like in a situation, and I've been in advertising, till the day before the client presentation, sometimes creative people are sitting, faffing, not doing anything. And I was on the business side, but I've dealt with creative people all my life. And I would see, and I would like, my blood is boiling. The pitch is tomorrow. They're sitting, they're, having their smoke. And suddenly in the night, somebody comes up at 12 o'clock in the night, comes up with a brainwave, and then they work through the night. And next day morning, we are looking like we have been working on it for 2 weeks. And then we'll go and tell the client, we got this idea and we really crafted it and we did this. And no one will ever knew it came at 12 o'clock in the night. Then people worked on it.
That's the idea
Oh
with the
yes, oh yes,
creativity.
absolutely, absolutely. And oh yes, oh yes. I've had some software bugs being found out in my dreams. I'm oh shit. Preeti, you're sharing something. Go on.
I was just saying that that's the idea with the creativity. That's the like creativity always comes at in a very unexpected ways. It doesn't come in a right time. It will always come when you are not thinking
Absolutely.
about it.
And it comes exactly
So
at the right time.
yes, but it will come. But it will come. It will never leave you. My story is the first year of my marriage, and I went and gave milk to my like a glass of milk to my husband, and he said, "It's too much. I can't drink this much." I said, "Okay." I went inside the kitchen. I transferred that whole milk to a bigger glass, and I gave to him, and he was like, "Now it was okay. It was enough for me." And then I told him, "You drank the same." You drank the
This is
same
taking
milk,
the glass half full to another level.
and since that day, he never trusted me on the food items. If he has to reduce it, he goes himself
What a,
and
This
what a
first year of
band for the
marriage,
beginning. Huh?
lessons were learned fast.
yes. So that was a very good
Oh, very,
one.
very, very interesting. I think this is good enough to go. I think to Rajesh next ad. Saying, "ये ले वाला ले लो." This is glass half full. This is glass 2x. This is not half full. It's twice full glass.
I'll tell
Wow.
you another interesting thing that came to mind about this is a work related thing. And sometimes you say things without realizing, and then, it's like, oh my God. I was the senior guy in the room, and there was lots of, we went for a big meeting too. And this was in Bangalore, your city. And we were meeting Target. We had gone for a pitch. And we were told that we were meeting few people. To our horror, we had some 20 people, all these suited, booted guys, truck, coming into the room. And it was a big conference room. And we were like 5 of us, I think, from the agency. I was there with my planning strategic person, my account director and planner. And there's some 20 people coming. And, all of them coming out with their visiting card. So they'll give you the visiting card and that's it. So, and all of that had huge target branding on each visiting card. So first of all, I think half the people I had my visiting card. My creative guy saying I forgot my visiting card. So all of them, like, really, before you realize, it was intimidating. Like the full conference room with 20 of these very dudes dressed up in jackets and visiting. And what I did was I kept it in front of me, so that at least I can find out who's who, because they were all sitting in that row. And then I looked at it and said, we have so many targets in front of us. So everybody burst out laughing because it was looking like literally target shooting, all targets, 20 visiting cards. And I said, we have some 20 targets in front of us. So sometimes to say something, it just breaks the tension in the room, because we had not expected so many clients. And suddenly all of them peering at you and looking at you saying, Abhi, what will happen next? Like Sunil is telling us and we're looking at us and we are saying, what is he going to ask us next? But it was very funny. I still remember that comment of, we have got 20. I've never said that thing ever again in my life, but having learned it the hard way, telling it instead of, we had 20 targets in front of us.
You could have done your Sholay dialogue. कितने आदमी थे?
that could have also worked.
Yes.
That's the most fascinating thing about podcast and like having conversations like this. So you're on one train, and then one after another. One memory keeps coming back, and you're going, okay, this is funny, or this is how it goes. So we are on that track right now. Wow, it's fascinating. So also in terms of like I think there are so many funny incidents. So one more is possibly that. I think my exam, I went to school at 7:30 for a 2:30 exam. Having nothing, in like literally nobody in the school except for two of my two people. That's me and my best friend who had said, you know what, the exam is at 8 o'clock. Better let's be there at 7:30. So we revised twice, we revised thrice. And then we were hungry and we didn't know what to do. There's literally nobody else in there. And then somewhere at around 1 o'clock, we found a teacher, and by then we had no money, and it was also a space where like it's no Swiggy and delivery. So we were like, "Ma'am, we've been waiting in school for the last 4.5 hours. We have not eaten anything. I don't know if I will be able to write the exam without eating anything. Can you please get us something?" And the look of horror on her face is like, "What have you been doing at 7:30 in the school, ma'am? I thought 8 o'clock exam tha." And I was so I was being trolled for it for quite a long time, saying, "Oh, Sunil, you've gone, you're so early that you're already there for a 2 o'clock exam." And oh yeah, that food that day that I had was the most delicious food ever. That I've had. So crazy it is. Yes. So you have questions for me. So I think let's sort of make it a little more fun and interesting. And you can ask questions to others also. It's not that have to ask me.
Where Preeti said something about creativity, and you are, of course, Sunil, yourself very creative, doing various things. I always feel that this bit about creativity being spontaneous um, is true, but it's not. Creativity also needs to be channelized. So, like, if you're in a creative profession, like I was in advertising, you had to deliver. So you have to train your mind also to be creative. I mean, it happens. See, the joining of the dots happens. If you're a creative person, anything that you see becomes a source of inspiration. But it cannot be that I will rely only when I go to the bathroom and the idea will drop on my head. If you
Right.
do that, then it's putting yourself, because we are professionals, we are being paid, right? You're supposed to go and dance in front of. Now we do a coaching dance, but there you are doing a different kind of dance with your ideas. You're going and presenting a campaign, so you better get prepared. And very often some creative people would be use that as an excuse to say, but I can't think like that. I need my own space to think. And then I remember our senior creative chief creative officer once came, and he was addressing all the creative people, and one upstart young guy said, "Sorry sir, the people here, the environment in this office, they're always putting pressure on us. They're not allowing us our creativity to flourish." He said, "You better get down, put your nose into the table. You have a campaign to present to your client tomorrow. You're getting paid for it, and you better do it. If I can do it as a chief creative officer, I'm sure you can do it as a creative young creative." So finally, I think it's overrated, this bit about only it has to fall onto your head, the creative idea. I think if you train yourself, and now when you realize, as we all do as coaches, if you train your mind to do it, things happen on their own. So it's like
Yeah.
what, say, to do a cricketing analogy, it's the effort to become effortless, or that whole unconscious, what is it called? I always get it wrong. Uh,
Unconscious competency.
yeah, exactly. You reach a stage where it happens on its own. You put in all the hard work, and then you don't need to think too much about it. So I think that is my sort of take on this whole creative thing and spontaneity. So yeah, there are some really gifted people like us, through yours, Mr. Nimma, coach there in front, who can be on the spot and think something completely there. But for a lot of people, it's a skill that we can all learn. Uh,
It can be learned. Yeah, it can be learned.
yeah. What do you guys think, Roshni? You are a
Yeah,
creative person. You do painting and
yeah,
all, and are
yeah.
you
I
waiting for
think
the perfect sunrise to happen for you? Your painting.
no. I just like to sit down and watch it. Yeah, I think I've tried my hand at few creative things, more than a few creative things. I think that is what keeps me going. Um, uh, I love photography, and painting is something I recently started. I'm not very good at it, but there are a lot, like art. Art is something that interests me a lot. I write poems. I like to write short stories. For me, creativity is everyday life. Like for me, it comes from what I see, what I notice around, what touches my heart. I think that that is where my inspiration is always uh, lying. I'm very curious to look around people, how they talk, their specific, there are certain habits or things that people repeat. I know I do this a lot, touch my hair very often. um, so I like to observe those things, and I think my creativity, for me, it comes from just uh, being there, uh, when I'm just observing what is happening around. Yeah, that's the inspiration, I guess.
So true that. In terms of, I think after being uh, given this title of saying being the spontaneous guy, I think I completely agree on that spot. Saying inspiration can come from any space and any space, and when you were observing, saying all your observation around your hair, it also prompted me to say look at my own ways of looking at it. Also, I love traveling in buses and metros,
Yeah.
because that's a
You're
fascinating
connected,
space
you're
to build
connected with life.
characters.
Yeah. You're
Yes,
connected with life.
You're
absolutely.
connected to life. You're connected to so various many things at the same time. The entire tapestry of life is on display. There are so many micro nuances at play. So
Absolutely.
fascinating to just travel by the bus.
And earlier I remember also train journeys. You would
Trains,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
trains.
it was you still miss that now. You travel nowadays, you just go into a flight, mindlessly you're waiting for 3 hours, you just get into it. But there you would strike conversations with people, you would share dabbas, you would help pick up people's bags. You would do there was so much of human connection that would happen in a train ride. Uh, Now it's all and you're right in
I
terms of how artists and observer talented actors, they spend time. You talk about some people who will say that they go, it's that method acting thing, they go out and see. Some people almost do it like you're saying real life, but some people, the method actors, will go and spend some time. For instance, if somebody is doing the role of a prostitute or something, that Kareena Kapoor or whoever, they would go and spend some time and see their behavior, the way they deal with their customers. So just get a feel of what happens rather than sitting and thinking on your own.
Absolutely, absolutely. Roshni was sharing something.
Yeah, I mean, even that, I think, influences you. It changes you as a person the moment
Yeah,
you start creativity in that process, where every moment is creative. I even find cooking a very creative activity. It's something I'm very passionate about. More than eating, I love cooking and feeding people. And I find it so creative, just taking something and changing it
yeah,
to bring your personality into it. Uh,
that's true.
that I think, like, it might be the same dish that's 100 other people make, but what makes it your, like,
Yeah,
when somebody eats it from your hands, how is it different? And that is something I find fascinating, about creativity, that every individual has a potential to bring something of themselves into it. Even if, like, cooking is very personal, but even like Rajesh was saying about ad making, it is something that's going for a specific client, to a larger audience, but still the person who put in that creative process has definitely put in something about himself or his observations
Yeah,
there. So it's really beautiful, I think.
no,
Definitely.
fascinating. So I will
Creativity.
put two observations. Yeah, Preeti, go ahead, please, please.
No, Sunil, you finish it.
I think you've given the spotlight to me. So because you've also been talking about coaching. So Rajesh brought about this topic saying the human connection that we had when we were talking about in trains, that's gone, and possibly now all of us are on our phones and this thing. Coaching is one of those fascinating places where it rekindles that human to human conversation. And also all of us like study typically the same set of competencies, behaviors, or the models are the same, on literally almost the same. Like how Roshni was sharing it, it's like everybody has the same recipe, but everybody cooks it differently. And so that's the same thing with coaching, and everybody has similar frameworks or almost like the same frameworks that's been shared, but every coach brings his or her own way of coaching, and that's what absolutely makes it unique. So I just wanted to bring the coaching element back into this conversation.
Right, Sunil. You're talking about and even Roshni talked about the recipe, same recipe, and different ways of delivering. And uh, like in the coaching, also, we all have learned the same framework, but how we deliver. So for me, the creativity is like something. It's like a meditation. I'm a very creative person from the very childhood. I love art, so I use art as a coaching tool also. I use art therapy. I use art in a very in a coaching framework. So to bring that creativity, actually, when you are with the, so for me, it is a meditation. If I'm with colors, if I'm with paper, pencil, I don't remember anything. I just stay there at that moment, and that brings me calmness. That clears my mind sometimes. There is one kind of art which is called neurographic art. When I want to clear my mind, I use that one. I just draw with my left hand, close my eyes, and draw with my left hand, and just let it go, release. So that really actually helps for me.
Absolutely.
Drawing, painting, it's like something. And creativity, it is like for everyone, and it should be for everyone. Like Rosni was saying, there is a potential for everyone. So yes, we can bring creativity in any person.
What do you do when you meet a client? Just since we're talking coaching, if you meet a client in a coaching conversation who says, "No, I'm a very analytical person. I'm a very left brain person. I can't think. I'm not creative at all." You know, how do you handle and create? Coaching is supposed to be a creative process, right? Generative process. But this person in front of you says, "I'm sorry. I'm a numbers person. I'm very logical. I cannot think of any ideas." Have you come across anything something like this?
Oh, yeah, I think no, if I have to answer this, not typically only in coaching, but in life, because I have been in the creative space of writing for a very long time. People have said I can't write.
Hmm.
So, I have never been a writing person. I can't write, and I'm not Shakespeare. I'm not Shashi Tharoor. So I've been given so many names, and saying, "Oh, you're the local this, you're the local that." Uh, but for me, it's always been that you've always been a storyteller. It's just that possibly you don't know that you don't know kind of a space. And I've asked people to, basically now just if I say, okay, knock knock, who's there? And whatever comes to you as an answer is a creative answer. It's not a practiced answer. So just a quick nudge on it, saying, "Oh, knock knock, who's there?" And what's the first thing that comes to you? And they give an answer and say, "Oh, that's not a numbers game." So that can also be a space to actually take it in terms of taking it to the client. And I think maybe because we are also bound by some of those places, saying if that's their belief, we don't work. We don't actively engage to work against that belief. So you have to work with that belief and let them play. But if I were to answer that in a conversational conversation, I would always invite them to a small exercise that will take them back to switch off the logical side and put on the magical side.
Magic, not logic. Yeah,
Yes.
in fact, this was the advice my coach mentor also told me, that sometimes if you meet very logical clients, which we meet, all of us meet, try and get them out of logic and get them into because they are in comfort zone. And as a coach, I think challenge them to get out of that space and get into, because then the generative aspect will happen. Otherwise, it won't happen. Or sometimes the other way around. Sometimes people are so imaginative, then there's a lot of structure missing, and you have to start pushing them to the other side to say, so how will you make it happen? What's the plan of action forward? Because they're still in the cloud, floating about images and stuff. So I think she just to balance it out, to take them to the other side.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Preeti, your thoughts on art therapy? What have you seen? How has this been interesting for you?
So, Sunil, you rightly said, if we are really coaching over there, and if the client, coaching is a process of client centric process. So if the client really want to stay there, yes, we have to respect that, but definitely we can challenge them. So there are many ways we can ask them to be into that creative space, come out of the logical space, just try that, the creative space. So nothing is coming into my mind right now. I'll put that to Roshni right now. Roshni, why don't you?
I, I think we could ask them to paint a favorite number, probably, to just get it into numbers and logic.
Now, you can also ask all the three questions that I asked you in the beginning of the podcast. A very interesting space, right? We've sort of navigated, and I have been trying to find a segue to actually introduce you to the rest of the audience who's looking at it. Now, if you were to sort of share about yourself in how many ever words you want to tell, three or four things about you that possibly no one else knows, what would they look like? Or you can also repeat whatever everybody knows. So, and I'm not asking for secrets here.
So maybe I can go with
Yeah.
this question. Um, I think a lot of people have not seen my stories or poetry, because when I used to write as a kid, I started when I was in fourth grade, and I remember that that's the first poem I wrote, and that was my class teacher was so happy she had put it up in the class. But I don't know why, it was a very positive experience. But after that, I just wanted to write for myself. So I don't very actively share a lot of things until and unless it's something I've written on a social cause, which is like very, very, raring to come out of me. Then I do post it on social media. But otherwise, most of it stays in my books. I show it to very, very close people. It is it. I think it shows a lot of me, my life, and I love expressing through words. That is my strength. That is also my release. um, and I really enjoy that process, just writing for myself. So that's one thing. I love being with children, though sometimes my own children can get to my head, like any other parent. But I really enjoy that space, because I think that's the closest we are to ourselves when we are with kids. There is no masks there. I like to be like that in my personal life, anywhere, absolutely. I just don't like too much of rules and regulations and appropriateness. This is not okay in today's world. Or I just like to be myself, be kind, and just express myself freely, and that is most possible when you are with kids. So that is another thing I think about me, that I am able to be myself the most when I'm with kids, and I love that space. Um, yeah, and after coming into coaching, especially, it's been like to be able to see other people very authentically in that 1 hour of space. Um, I find that a big blessing, because then you are able to see people in that childlike mode, thinking, exploring themselves. because coaching is also a process where you look at yourself and not another person, you cannot put the blame on somebody else. You have to think what you want, right? And I think I love that. I love when people are honest, they are able to bring themselves out. So it just fits in, you know. I don't even find coaching as a profession anymore. I just feel like living life, you know, that space is about that. And yeah, so I really take in energy for myself also from people and words. Yeah, if I had to just put it that way.
Wow. So we'd love to read some of those poems. So that puts us in the core circle.
Yeah, you ask and you shall be considered.
Preeti, anything you want to share in terms of different
After
facts about you
Rajesh.
that people won't know yet?
So I'm a good listener, but I'm not a good speaker actually. So when I have to put words into in play, I'm very bad at it. So I know Roshni and Sunil both are very good at good with the words, and I'm here struggling with the words and so that is one of the thing people don't know about me, that I struggle with the words sometime, but that is again my strength also and a weakness also, because coaching is somewhere it actually requires you to listen without any judgment, without you know any kind of bias, anything. And because I that speaking is not my forte, that words doesn't come into my mind, so that chit chat and chatter inside the mind that doesn't come inside the mind. So that is my strength also, but sometimes it becomes weakness also. But yes, that is one of the thing. Other thing is, I like to I'm a very funny kind of person. I like to be a clown sometimes, so and that only stays with my family, so don't tell anyone. So I I become clown for them sometime, and I mimic, I imitate, I do lots of different accents, and actually sometimes those accents are very good, and they can actually identify which country I'm mimicking or putting my accent on, but that is only till my family. No one knows, not them.
We need a demo. We need a demo. We need a demo.
No, 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 not
Yes,
here.
yes, yes. We read it.
Not here, not here. I'm not going to
Just
do it.
imagine that you're with your family. Imagine you're with your family at your home.
Maybe next
No
time,
one is
Rajesh,
judging.
I'm putting that request into the the line, that core circle. So maybe in future, yes, but it's not happening today. So these are some of the
Oh,
things.
very,
Yes,
very
I
interesting. So,
and I love traveling, and the that's the first conversation we had when me and my husband met. That's what the first conversation was there, that oh, we both love traveling, but now being traveled so much, now I feel okay, done. I've never said that. I'm taking back my words, but I still love traveling.
amazing. How many countries have you traveled? I think you said last time we
I've,
met.
I've
12.
traveled to 5 countries, but in India also different cities. So I've never stayed for like more than 2 3 years. In maximum was 4 years in one country. So in last 20 years,
So you are the
this
original
one is my
Changepreneur.
16th house. This one is my 16th house actually.
No, I was asking him which was the country you enjoyed staying the most.
Uh, Malaysia. It was actually a small island. It was not in Kuala Lumpur. It was a very small island, Kuching. It was very close to nature. The weather was very very good and very calm, peaceful, and it still has all the modern facilities and all of those things. So it was a good experience there.
Roshni, closer to Mauritius, or is that description closer to Mauritius, or how is it in Mauritius?
I think I need to write a book to describe Mauritius. It's one of the most beautiful places on earth.
We are all eagerly waiting to listen to that one.
I'm kind of promoting on this podcast Mauritius tourism, I guess. I like very real experiences. The people here are so warm. A very interesting thing is that you go stand at a bus stop, um, and you're waiting for the bus, and there is this absolute stranger who comes and waits along with you for the same bus. And then they suddenly look at you and say something in Creole, which is the local language here, and you say, okay, I don't know Creole. And then they ask, oh, you're Indian. And then we're like, yes. And then because people here are from Indian origin, a lot of 80% of the people, they start talking to you like they know you from childhood. They tell you stories of their ancestors, their grandfather, their grandchildren. By the time the bus comes, you know everything about that person. And I used to find it very strange in the beginning because I have a very funny incident that happened the first week that I was here in Mauritius, that people always greet you when they see you on the street, and they acknowledge you, they smile. And I was not driving when I came here, so I was waiting at the bus stop, and there were three four men who passed, and they smiled, they said good morning. And being an Indian coming from Mumbai, where you don't talk to strange men because they might just follow you after that. So I just did not even acknowledge them. I was looking here and there. And then after the fourth guy, I actually called my husband and asked him, people are actually smiling at me. Is it okay for me to smile back? Because I really want to, but I'm so scared. But amazing people, and they have so much love. The first thing they ask you when you're from Mumbai, they ask you, so you must have met Shah Rukh Khan so many times. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, every day he's my buddy. But it's a very, I mean, of course the place is beautiful, but I think it's also the people who make the place, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, this sort of a conversation brings me back to all those bus rides or train rides that we used to take to different villages and different cities. And by the time you actually exited the this thing, you're already best friends with them, and you heard some fascinating stories which you'll never hear again, and you'll never meet that person again. Like 99% of it, you'll never meet that person again. But their stories stay back with you, and that warmth, that interesting feeling. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting thing of can I smile at them is a very interesting
Question.
yes, interesting.
Rajesh,
Wow.
you didn't get a chance to talk about yourself. We
No, I was enjoying listening to you and Preeti. But for me, the interesting thing is sometimes people uh, say that, okay, you've spent so many years, close to 27, 28 years in advertising, brand building, and it has a certain image and a stereotype of the business, right? And everybody thinks that you are with hobnobbing with glamorous models, which you never do. You are always working very hard, and then but people say, hey, oh, you must be going for these fancy shoots, meeting models and doing this and doing that. It's hard grind. The business is hard grind. So there is a certain image, and people think that you're meeting, and of course you're meeting clients, and you're coming across as this friendly person. But I am a social introvert. I'm actually an introvert, and people don't believe that when I say that, because actually it may seem like, even now I don't know what the impression is, but I would be more happy than coming and saying, oh, phew, now let me go and quickly get into my book and get my energy back by being alone, spending time alone with myself. it actually happens with me. People don't believe that I'm actually an introvert. So now I started calling myself a social introvert. So I learned it by somebody who said, no, no, but don't worry. You can say you are a social introvert. So you're not a socially awkward person. You are friendly outside, but you would like to go back and recede into. So that's one thing that people don't know much about me, that I am actually an introvert. It works
Hmm.
well in coaching for me. So it's like, sometimes it can get a bit lonely, as it is that, people always say coaching is a bit of a lonely profession. You're sitting alone and in your mind and thinking about clients' issues. But yeah, sometimes I don't know whether it works as an advantage or sometimes it withdraws you even further. But that's one thing that I feel there's a mismatch between perception. The second thing I think I have discovered about myself, which after so many years of being in a slightly more extroverted profession, I never wrote anything, but I have just discovered the side about, like Roshni, you said, wanting to express myself. And while I may not have a book against my name or poems, I also write, but I don't show it to anybody. I think I have not had the confidence, but sometimes you have that burst of inspiration, and you show that. But I like to express myself, whether it's writing on LinkedIn. Today I was telling them, I was just felt very strongly. Today is our a very special day, which is Guru Nanak Jayanti, and I'm a Sindhi, so but we go and go to gurudwaras and we pray, and there's a langar that happens at the end. So very often people say, but that is only for Sikhs. That are Sardarjis and all that. But how come you are Sindhi and you don't? But then I thought, why not? Why don't I just write about it? Because people don't really know that actually that we come from Pakistan. My father, my grandfather, and all those families were actually based in Pakistan, in Sindh, a place called Sindh, right? And then because after partition, that part remained in Pakistan, and Guru Nanak ji would travel all over the country, and he finally made his base there in a place called Kartarpur, which was actually Punjab in the earlier undivided Punjab. But then when everything split, that part remained there, and he spent 18 years there. And there's a beautiful Gurdwara. So that's the only time you can get into Pakistan through that corridor. So for the first time, I traveled to Pakistan, which is also the birth country of my parents. So while my parents were not with me, but it felt very warm and fuzzy to be on the standing on the soil of a country where my parents have been born. I always had this dream of taking my father to his, because my father would always talk about his childhood memories, about the school that he went to, but I couldn't do that and take him. But it felt good to be there in Kartarpur and go into that Gurdwara. And today I just felt very strongly about writing about that experience. I had forgotten. I mean, it was 2 years back, and it just all came back to me today on this day. So I felt this strong urge to write, and I knew I had to do this 4 o'clock call, catch up call, and I was literally at the dot of 4. I said send, and, and I'm seeing my message from Satish saying, "Are you joining?" I said, "Yes, I'm joining. I'm joining." So I just clicked send, and I finished my article. I'm feeling very good about it, and I could really write about the fact that I went for this with my father-in-law. So yeah, I mean, the writing gives me a lot of pleasure. But I'll tell you one funny story. I can't resist it, and I thought about today. It has been on my mind when Sunil said two funny stories, but I have to tell you this funny story. You can't. You go to. I've gone to Bangkok for a travel, and I went to a gurudwara there. So I don't know why I was in the gurudwara, but maybe somebody would have said that Thailand has also got a beautiful side to it. We always know one side of it, but there's a beautiful spiritual side to it, lovely temples. And then they said there's a nice gurudwara. So I went to that gurudwara, and we were going up in the lift, and there was a Sardarji in the. It is such a. If you close your eyes and imagine a Sardarji speaking in Thai in the Thai accent. It was so funny, I can't describe it. Right? And I'm looking at this burly Sardaji speaking like that. That whole audio mismatch, right? It was almost like a cartoon character speaking in a different language. It's like you put Sunil there and tell him to speak in Gujarati or some Punjabi. It was so funny. And I got out of the lift, I was burst out laughing because I'd never seen a burly sir speaking in this very sweet Thai accent. I don't know why I thought of this funny story, but every time I think about it, I just, it's weird. Just think about it now. Preeti, you can imagine accent. Huh? Imagine a Sardarji talking in Thai accent.
Yes, I'm imagining that, and you actually
Oh,
did very well.
Swadika, Swadika.
And you know, Rajesh, when you were talking about
So
the
yeah.
true.
socially introvert, I remember like my younger one always talk about social meter. She always say, my social battery is down, my social meter is already down. Let me go to my room and read the book. So, and I was like, the first time I heard it, I was like, what is social battery? And she's
Uh,
like, when you are done with meeting
so,
people
so
and smiling and
I can immediately understand. I can understand what she must be going through. My literally feeling down after this.
yes, and being for me, I take energy from the people. I take energy from the so being social. I'm a big social animal. I can't stay without people. I wherever I went, people know me by by name. One of the like it was just we were in Africa, Ghana, Africa. It was just 1 month or something, and my husband went to one of the event in embassy there, and someone asked him, "Oh, you are her husband?" And he was like, "How he knew? No, how he or she knew like know about you, and you are so famous already." I remember in Philippines when we were there, I was walking to a mall, and one Indian family, they asked me about something over there that we are new here. And I said, tomorrow I'm throwing a Diwali party. Why don't you come to my house? And I just invited them on the road, and they came, and we became a good friend. So I'm a being a very social animal, like a big social and big fat social animal. She's like, my battery is down, social battery is down, and I'm like, what is this? What actually it means? But yes, hearing you, Rajesh, today, I understood. Okay, these kind of people exist.
Thanks to Sunil, I think we have now discovered some new things, new terms about ourselves, digging into our lives with funny stories. I can't, I don't know how this Sardarji and this Thai came into my head just now. About it was so he kept saying this funny story, and that image came to me because imagine close your eyes and somebody sings Swadika, and you open your eyes and you see one big Sardarji in front of you.
Oh, fascinating. Like when I think this same tangent of Sardarjis in Thai is possibly when you're looking at Japanese anime in Hindi. I think I saw Spider-Man English movie, The Spider-Man in Hindi, and I was like, I just could not stop laughing the entire movie. Oh, it was a laughter riot, and my mom's like, "What's happening with you?" I'm like, "Oh, no, no, just sit down and watch." Oh yes, and if you're bored, now I have another thing saying, if I am really really bored, what I do is I switch a fantastic, beautiful YouTube video with old school songs and actually play them in either 2x or 0.25x, and I'm betting for sure that you will laugh your guts out, for sure. So try that out if you're not, if you're feeling one of those dull days, just go to YouTube, just click on an old song, play it in 0.25x or play it in 2x. Either ways, you will end up laughing. Wow. So you've laughed a lot. So I have to ask maybe the last, coaching question. So if you have to share what you have learned in the last 1 hour, 18 minutes, time flies. So what's that you have learned? The philosophical part of this podcast.
Don't take yourself too seriously as a coach.
Awesome.
Have the lighter side. Look at the lighter side of life. Enjoy and let that spontaneity come through in every conversation.
Yes.
I think for me, it is just reiterating something I already knew, but just re-establishing it in a way that It is so here I know Sunil very well, and Rajesh and Preeti are very new faces, new people for me. But it was so easy to have this conversation and talk about myself. Or of course, as coaches, we always listen, but to just talk about ourselves in a space where we don't really know, and it was it was just so easy to do it.
Yeah, thanks for the compliment. I'll take it.
So,
Even if I didn't give it to you, you would just take it, right?
so bringing back those
Yes,
memories,
Preeti.
actually, talking about those memories when we were talking funny story, cartoon character, actually, we never get time. Actually, we never permit ourselves to sit back and go back there and relive those lives. We have so many things there, and we can find full of our life is a story, and we actually can find so many characters over there in that story. And if we just sit with that, just I think just give ourselves a time to sit back, relive those stories again, and go ahead with our life. That will give a boost or energy like anything else.
That's true.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's true.
It's re-looking at our stories. We see different things. Like Roshni said, retracing our stories. So there's so much of life in going back and just sitting with that and coming back. And all of us as coaches know about spectator awareness. So it's one of those most fascinating things to just go sit, stay there, come back. It's a beautiful space.
I would say that in my storytelling sessions in workshops that I would do on storytelling, I would say the opening line would be stories are us and stories are all around us. Because everybody would say, but how do I know I'm not a storyteller? Where do I get my stories? And I would say that we are full of stories. And if you look around, literally there's one hiding under your chair. There's life is so full of stories. We just need to expand our awareness. There's just
Yes.
many stories all around us.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And possibly now that we've spent 1.5, almost 1 hour, 15 minutes into this podcast, I will have to pause for today in terms of, uh, just reflecting on all those stories that we've said, all the fantastic experiences that you've reshared, and all the histories that you've retraced and back with us. So, episode 3 is going to be more interesting with more people and more stories, and hopefully a new guest in terms of new host, not a new guest, new host and new guest as well. So, thank you for your time today, and I hope I've in my end made justice to this conversation and put you back on your memory lane and made you laugh, made you smile. So that's me signing off for today. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks
you,
a lot,
Sunil.
Sunil. It
Thank
was
you, Sunil.
perfect. I think you did what
Yeah.
great coaches do. You made us feel so comfortable in your presence, and it was so easy and flowing.